is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs, government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Now you can share the topics that drive the discussions of your favorite talk shows with TalkStream Live's topic-driven talk radio. List and promote real-time talk radio topics, or post the topics that you want to hear. Hot topics are tweeted and retweeted, and include simple click-to-listen audio links. The future of talk radio is topic-driven talk radio. Available now at TalkStreamLive.com.
Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat asses, eating and drinking themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride and then bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Not me. Get it done.
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com.
You're caught in a dream. The adventure begins. Put your seat backs and tray tables in the upright position as we take a trip in the very fabric of reality. Join me, Andrew Parks, for Adventures into Reality, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps.
Safe. Do you have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation? Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? Do you have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is? Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus the USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You have it, I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we... So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right, welcome back to the second hour, and I've got Stu Webb standing by. I've got Jeff Hayes, and Jeff, by the way, is the author, and I encourage you to get a copy of his book, at freeamerican.com, Rise of the New World Order, the Culling of Man. And I want to put this to you, Jeff. You've done the research. You've got the book out. What Stu is talking about, I've had Gordon Duff on my show. He's a pretty much a regular from Veterans Today. And he has confirmed that the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that there are people high up in our military that know what's going on and do have plans to do this, and that kind of answers my question. Why haven't we've got this information? You have gone out and gathered this information. This is information available to all of us. I have gathered this information. I've interviewed 1,000 people to confirm everything that we're saying here. And if that's true, I mean, why haven't we been able to put any of these criminals, these international criminals like George Bush, like Henry Kissinger, like the people that lied to us about the Gulf of Tonkin, like the people that lied to us about Iraq, like the people that are making all of the money off the heroin our troops are guarding in Afghanistan. And of course, when people do come forward about that kind of subject, you've got the Pat Tillmans out there that are simply shot. You've got the people like me that blew the whistle on George Bush's drug smuggling operation, Watchtower, and they put me in a hospital for 3 months, tried to overdose me. But if I can figure it out, if you can figure it out, if Stu can figure it out just from personal experience here, why aren't we getting any help from our law enforcement agencies, from our government agency, from our government intelligence? I mean, they can tap our phones, but they can't stop a drug shipment to Mena, Arkansas?
Well, all the marching orders come from the top, and the people that are running the show just, I mean, they're, the people, it's like the golden rule. The people who have the gold make the rules, and they can do whatever they want. If they want to break the rules, they can break the rules. That's why they're robbing us blind on Wall Street with all this derivatives BS. There are people engineered how to come up with those things, and there are people put them into place, and the people at the top are the ones that are reaping all that money. That's just as an example, but there's nobody over their head that can bring the hammer down on them. The only people over their head is humanity as a whole. And so until we wake up enough people to affect a change, it's just gonna be business as usual at the top.
If I may add to that.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, what I've discovered in my research of 30 years, and of course blowing the whistle on my accident wall, that's one at the top, and causing those congressional investigations back to back. 1989 and 90, and that was HUD and Silverado savings that he owned, and the Denver Airport and all its frauds, government contract frauds, and that secret underground. And, of course, what they called MDC 200, which was a Keating 5, they called it. They dubbed it the largest illegal political campaign money laundering operation in the country's history. And since then, it's been repeated out of Ohio and back to Denver and Ohio again. But yet, nobody does anything. And what I've come to realize that it was in 1980 when the coup d'etat against Jimmy Carter occurred, and Bush and Howie North and others moving those weapons to Iran in advance and paying Bonnie Sagar $40 million to keep the Iranians until after the election. And of course, 5 minutes after both Bush and Ronald Reagan were sworn into office, of course, the hostages, it was announced they were released. And everybody cheered around that, and it was just part of the thing that went on because I knew the pilots that flew him over there, and many of them, they're friends of mine. Some of them are dead, like Harry Rupp today. Gunther Russbacher, that's dead, he flew him over there.
And Bob Hunt, that I was imprisoned with when they made me a political prisoner from 92 to 93, shot me up and then dismissed the charges after holding me for that 10.5 months. Bob Hunt was on the tarmac that flew Daddy Bush back in that SR-71, and he was guarding him. He was a Naval SEAL team lieutenant commander that I believe today is dead. But the control that they've had, basically, since the time of Kennedy, and then you go up to Jimmy Carter, and that's when the control box really flipped, and why Ronald Reagan was convinced that we needed to support Nicaragua Contras for the purpose of keeping beachfront property from being taken over by the Russians and communism in Cuba, etc. When in fact that's just all the boogeyman crap. But he believed this, and he wanted the Berlin Wall taken down. He wanted the Russian republics broken up. He also, Ronald Reagan, he actually had good intentions. He had hired my friend Leo Wanta to do certain things, of which he did, which was break the Russian ruble and to break the Federal Reserve, because he saw the Federal Reserve as being the evil, and he knew that that's what got Kennedy killed, and break up these international bankers' control over our money supply. Now, he was not totally successful, but he was semi-successful. And why he was doing these things, he had the vice president, which he didn't trust, but he was forced into taking George Herbert Walker Bush as vice president, and that was the end of it. And what he did to this country, behind the scenes, running dual and triple Iran-Contra operations, which was the theft of U.S. Treasury, it was the theft of people's money through security fraud, oil and gas fraud, banking loan fraud, real estate loan fraud, that broke the savings and loans in this country. And then they hide it all and steal it back. They created the Resolution Trust Corp, and all the other things that have gone on. The junk bond daisy chain, all the way up to the derivative problem today, has all been the same people. And what people don't understand is, if you look at all the financial frauds, everything, burning Madoff, everybody, it comes back to this Zionist organized crime syndicate in America. And who was running it? And who does the finger point at? Well, not only have I exposed it, and other people expose it, and I've seen 50 people killed over it. I've seen a couple friends of mine kind of go into the woodwork that have written things. I've been around for a long time. I've helped contributed 15 books. My name appears, I think, in 6 or 7, so I can speak with a little bit of authority on this. And I helped expose the current bank bailout that occurred in 2008. We thought we had them going to bankruptcy, and that was $100 trillion worth of mortgages they created out of Denver, Colorado, by the same company, MDC Holdings, the parent of Richmond American, Beneficial Finance, all these various entities, tens of thousands they've created underneath that have been involved in every one of these scandals, every one of them. And they created these mortgages and duplicated the mortgages on houses that they bought up to 9 times over, and created mortgages on houses they never built through Richmond American, which was one of the top companies in the United States, one of the top 10 builders. And they turn around and after creating these mortgages and pass them through Millman City Corp and AIG and reinsuring them and doing different stuff and playing all the game, they even derivatized these things. Now, what was amazing was I thought they derivatized them, I've heard, up to $1,000 trillion. U.S. intelligence tells me it's $5,000 trillion worth of derivatives. Now, I've asked myself, where did all that friggin' money go? If they've taken over the economy and 12 men, they call it the Council of 13 because of their devil worshippers, and the devil comes and does his thing with them at their human sacrifices. Where did all this money go? They could have bought the economy up 3 times over. Now, they're in control of 90 to 97% of the economy worldwide, and in America, the General Accounting said last year that they're in control of 95%. That was as of June a year ago. So the question is, where is all that money? I kept asking. People telling me it's off planet still. It's off planet. What do you mean it's off planet? Well, they've been building huge cities inside Mars and inside the moon. And it deals with what's called the alien connection. Now, I believe those to be fallen angels myself. I've had the Area 51 scientist, my good friend Ed Slade, that they murdered 2 years this coming October. I mean, they tried to get rid of him. They got rid of 6 of his colleagues that worked there at Papoose Lake, Nevada. And Papoose Lake is where the alien base is. It's not Groom Lake where the test site is, because I think you've had John Lear on, my friend, that tested the highest rated pilot in the world, tested every kind of toy that we have, flew every kind of toy. But as Ed said, he said, Stu, it was the 1954 to 2012 agreement, which has not expired, they've just extended it, is who we're really up against. It's an alien connection. Their technology is so far off the charts, and they, need humans for some reason to build their toys and to do the things for them, because they're a spiritual form. And what I see in the bigger picture is, I've seen the devil in my bedroom. That was real. That was in '84 when I was married to this witch doctor, I call her. And, I cast him out of there in the name of Jesus and by the blood of Jesus Christ, and command you out of here now, Satan. And he went right through the door. And the door was knocked off the hinges. This is all real. It's a spiritual battle. It's good versus evil that we're really up against. And I'm not, a preacher. I don't pretend to be. I just have faith in God and Christ. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because I keep being told the money is gone offshore. They could have already had all the economy. They could have already put in what many people believe the end time mark of the beast. That could have already all been done. But they haven't done that because of the battle that is still going on and raging against them in huge numbers right now. Now, they're going in, slaughtering 1.5 million people in Iraq. They've slaughtered, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands in Afghanistan. They're over there now playing the same trump card game, spin doctor game in Syria, where you got John McCain going over there. And, of course, he keeps the war alive in Afghanistan because he gets a cut of the drug money being on the Armed Services Committee. And we've been so infiltrated. And he goes to goes to Syria, where we have privatized armies over there. Daddy Bush's Halliburton types, the ones that they've hired all over the Middle East, give them $3,000. Some Arab over there that, join Al-Qaeda and would pay you $200 a week and create chaos in Syria. This could be World War III. But it points back to one thing, this whole thing. They want that oil in Syria. They want the oil in Iran. And they're using our military in the past to do all this bidding, like in Iraq and Afghanistan and so forth. And if you look at the numbers in Iraq as an example, Halliburton only controlled 10% of the oil coming out of there, Dick Cheney and Daddy Bush's company, before they attacked Iraq. Now they're in control, the Five Sisters they call it. They're in control of 90% of the oil, and the country of Iraq only gets 10%. So I've been told that they just use our military. Well, they have a problem now. Our military, with good patriotic John Hagel, Secretary of Defense, who has made the statement that we are not, when he was a senator, U.S. senator, he says, I am not an Israeli senator, like John McCain and others that answered these punk Zionists, these top men, gets his money to keep a war alive, to keep Guantanamo Bay alive, so they can run the CIA redemption flights, they call it, hauling supposedly terrorists, when in fact all they're doing is hauling the chemicals to Afghanistan to put in block form all the heroin, and then to haul it back over here in the United States and other parts of the world. That's the only reason the war is kept alive. Now, they're trying to create this other war in Israel, once again, the Zionists, Bibi Netanyahu in particular, and Omar, who would be the future, and sometime, future Prime Minister of Israel, that's already been the president, who was actually indicted for selling the Bank of Israel to Larry Mizell, the one in Denver, and to Brofmans, and 2 other families, which was, I think, 6 years ago. And he was indicted over this.
Okay, let me...
Now, all right, I just want to throw one thing, if I can. U.S. intelligence reports generated since 2004 that I'm aware of. I wasn't aware of in 2004, and I couldn't understand why my ex-in-law supposedly died, and Leonard Millman, which he isn't dead. He's down there on the Isle of Cuba, where Mitt Romney, presidential candidate, was delivering his drug accounts to him with his Cuban mistress. And I have the picture of him off the airplane U.S. intelligence got with his holding the hand of this Cuban mistress. It was the KGB daughters during the time he was running for president. And, of course, McCain was getting his cut, Lieberman, Lindsey Graham, and others. But in these U.S. intelligence reports that drove Leonard Millman out of the country and faked his death, he was all lit up. He was lit up because in that report, they had identified him in all kinds of espionage tied to Jonathan Pollard and the Russian mob. Now, since then, there's been several other reports, and the most recent was done last year in September. And in that report, it said that Leonard Millman, Larry Mizell, Daddy Bush, Jeb Bush, George W. Bush, Neil Bush, Marvin Bush, Bibi Netanyahu, Dick Cheney, and others have committed treason and sedition, espionage against the United States of America at the highest level, that they've robbed and looted our country, the United States, have done all these things, including the bombing of Oklahoma City and the false flag attack on America on the day of 9/11. So I'm asking myself, if U.S. intelligence knows all this now, and there is an effort to clean up the military right now, which they've been doing, and you're seeing signs, and you see other signs of things going on behind the scenes that people are unaware of, and I haven't discussed them, but you can take, pardon the expression, I call her Michelle B-I-T blank H Bachmann. I call her the B. Bachmann word. Why is it that all of a sudden she comes out and makes a statement, Jesus told me to resign. I'm not making enough money, $170,000 a year. I should have a talk show on Fox News. Well, who owns Fox News? The same boys. Who has she been answering to then? Why did she truly make the announcement she's not going to run again? It's because she's been forced out. They told her, quote unquote, here's what we have on you. You're to make an announcement, or we're going to put you in handcuffs. That's the reason. There's a second congressman in the past 2 weeks did the same thing. I was told if they were to arrest, they have identified now, everybody inside our government that is corrupt. They have identified them. They're on the radar scope. And if they were to arrest all those up on the House, in the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Senate, that we would collapse. Our government would actually collapse. It's that bad. But it all points back to these names. AIPAC, the Israeli-American Pact. It points back to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. It points to the Anti-Defamation League, the Jewish Defense League, among others, that are the fake Jews faking out the whole world that's paying. And if you look at the board of directors of that, you always find bank bailout scamster Larry Mizell, the attorney Norman Brownstein that hides the money for him, that was working with Hillary Clinton, creating the Rose Law Firm, creating the trusts, foreign trusts to hide their identity and to not pay income tax. That's the problem that we have. So when I say, or Mike Harris came up with the idea and mentioned it to me, why don't we have a general strikes do? Why don't we start talking about it on the air after the information comes out soon? All this on 911. I think it's a great idea. And you know what? If the American people, if the government doesn't arrest them, I'm going to be right there along with others. And I hope you join me, and I hope others join us, and we arrest those public officials.
Well, it's absolutely what needs to happen. It's absolutely what needs to happen. This is why I helped start the militias, and that's why I do in the governor's office. The governors are being threatened now. It's moving to the point when it's all happening right now, folks. This is a war. It's a war of good and evil. We are put on this planet, and we're given free will. We can decide whether we want to be good or evil. And if you decide you want to be evil and you're working with Israel, you're working in AIPAC, we've identified all of this information has been available for 20 years in the Free American Magazine. All you had to do is get a subscription. All you had to do is listen to the show. All of this information has been put out over and over and over again in so many different ways. And it has finally reached the point that we're not the radicals anymore. We are, it's like they've said, about patriots. You know, in the beginning, they're scarce. You know, but people are waking up. We are having an effect. The Veterans Today is doing a fantastic job. You're doing a fantastic job. And you know how it was 15 years ago, Stu.
I know exactly.
You know, oh, Clay Douglas started a militia, don't you know? He's
I
a
started
terrorist.
one too. I got written up in Time magazine as a 5-star general of the militia controlling 38 states.
Gee, you had me beat. All I made was Colonel.
Yeah, well, they also had me on the Denver Post on a Sunday morning, you know, Sunday front page of the Denver Post to, you know, formed an organization called GOAL, monitored by the FBI's terrorism team as potentially dangerous, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
What in your research, Jeff? In your research for your book, what kind of conclusions did you come to about Southern Poverty Law, the ADL, AIPAC, and Israel? I mean, I take it back to the Balfour Declaration. England, the Rothschild agent in England, with the title of Lord or something, issued that declaration. England didn't have the right to give away half of a country.
Yep.
And the whole first attempt at the one world government, the League of Nations, that failed. That failed with because two countries wouldn't go along with it: Soviet Union and the United States. Here they gave us the Federal Reserve. In Russia, they murdered the Tsar and gave us the Soviet Union. I think we're right at that point here. We're going to have to decide whether we want to operate in Soviet America, probably spelled with a K. I mean, they did a pretty good job of predicting that on television.
The USSA, brother.
So,
USSA.
yes, and that's exactly what the North American Union was about. What the European Union is about. This is the regionalization.
I think the train kind of got stopped on the North American Union because people like us are piping up about it, saying that this is coming, and then they're trying to portray it as conspiracy theories. Say, oh no, it's not. So now, if they try to push it through now, we would be able to say we told you so. So I think we kind of derailed that train a little for them. So they're probably regrouping. They're probably just going to go right for the economic implosion, crash the world, and then just declare a world government.
Well, they are doing that. They still got the Trans-Texas Highway in Texas here. It's just a little toll road now. Only costs you $1.30 and you get to drive 85. So they're just going through the back door. While we're waiting for these people to be arrested, while we're waiting for our military to do something, Stu, what do you suggest that we do?
Well, I have several suggestions, and you know, people, you know, that are listening, I'm not a racist at all, and I know that Clayton isn't. Where have we been pointing the finger for, good Lord, since the mid-2000s? It's this Jewish control. They call themselves Jews, and they aren't. It's Zionism. They are Zionists. They are Satanists. These 12 crime people and crime members at the very top is controlling everything right now with all their stooges down below. You know, there was a professor at a university back east that did a story or a report after 5 years. And here he was from the original tribes of Israel, one of the original tribes, the 12 tribes. And he did this report to find out how many people who claim to be Jews are really Jews, and how many people who are not in the bloodline from the original tribes of Israel. And it's up on my site. I rehashed it, lit it up, should we say. It's dated 6/17, 2013. If you go by date, it says, New Genome Study Destroys Zionist Claims to Palestine. He found that 9 out of every 10 people in Israel today that claim to be Jews, the original tribes of Israel, are not. He says that 8 out of 10 of the Palestinians are the original tribes of Israel. Now, we have this Judea Christian belief here in America among Christians that the Jews are the chosen people, and they have, because the Word says so. Well, if that's the case, how come the churches are duped? I call it Christians duped. I even have a story on it. Christians duped by Zionist control. Why is it that we have, the John Hagee's, the Pat Robertsons, all the other TV evangelicals out there pushing this? Oh, we must support Israel. And they send them billions of dollars every year. That money needs to be cut off, because these are not the true tribes of Israel. They need to be putting the money over to the Palestinians, who in this report, he's proved that 8 out of 10 of the Palestinians are from the true tribes of Israel. We have the fake ones.
Okay, hold on, take a breath there, Stu. Jeff, what is this? This backs up everything he said here, backs up all of my research about the Jews being run in from beyond the pale on the Russians, being responsible for the murder of 60 million Russians, while back before that ever happened in the 1913, the Jews that say they're Jews were trying to raise money for those 6 million Jews being hurt and demonized in the Soviet Union or the Ukraine. So what is your research? I mean, you'll have people up there going, well, the New World Order, that's George Bush. Well, I don't think so.
Part of the problem is in the Bible, it's not shy about telling us that the Hebrews and the Jews have fallen in and out of favor with God over the millennia, and when they fall out of favor, they get in big trouble, and yada yada yada. So I think what's happened today, why people keep saying Jew this and Jew that, yada yada, that the synagogue of Satan Jews, the Jews who say they're Jews but are not, but do lie, I think they have acted as Pied Pipers and actually brought a lot of the Jews who don't know any better under their sphere of influence, and now, especially now that the synagogue of Satan is controlling the entire global financial system, they've almost got the Jewish Israel on the payroll of the synagogue of Satan. So it's a huge convoluted mess. I'm going to definitely go into that in much better detail in my next book. But that's kind of what's happened. The Jews have been led out of favor of the Lord through the synagogue of Satan. So they're kind of following the wrong path for sure. That's just my take on it, I guess.
And if I may give a little, add to that a little bit, and you're very correct on that, because in the Bible, in Revelations, it talks that they will say they are Jews, but they are not. And this are the Zionists. And they've got not only the Jewish community fooled through the AIPAC, which is the espionage against all of us, and through the ADL, and through the JDL, and the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and all these top crime dogs, the council, Mizell in particular, and Brownstein, are on board of directors of all this. They tell the Southern Poverty Law Center what to do and putting out their disinformation. And they've got all the Christian community in America, the churches, And these so-called pastors, I call them pulpitoons when they
you
don't
mean
have
you
the
mean
Holy
the
Spirit.
churches? The churches, if you go down and check the cornerstone on the churches, you got the Masonic sign there on the cornerstone.
And most of them are so, and they're so stupid because they don't understand. They don't understand, and they support this Judeo-Christian belief. Well, if you support that belief, then give your money not to this Israel that's currently in power, but give it to the Palestinians, and definitely read this new genome. This should have been all over mainstream media, this report, out of this professor, that who himself is from one of the original tribes, that's saying 9 out of 10 of those in Israel today that claim to be Jews are not, but they are from the northern part. They are the Khazarians, who are the fake Jews. That's the problem that we have. We've got to reverse the thinking in America.
Well,
we've got to make people understand. They're starting to wake up in the masses.
You know, this is why I put my book out, Mystery Babylon, New World Order Unveiled, because they were going after Christian identity. Now, I don't necessarily agree with everything they got to say and their methods sometimes, but I've known people in Christian identity for years. They're good people trying to be good Christians, and the rest of Christianity, as my friend Dr. Jake Wade, of the dean of the Timothy Bible College, he refers to the churches as churchiosity, religiosity. They are the ones that don't talk about Israel, don't talk about the Jews that say they're Jews, that have been bought off by the Schofield Bible, or somebody they paid to put all the footnotes in their King James version. So, and even in the Revolutionary War, George Washington was told that the Jews' religion would take over. Now, if you go back to the Old Testament, you see the God of the Jews, Yahweh, was a pretty mean sucker there, and ordered them to beat the children's heads against the rocks, and don't leave a man, woman, or child alive in that particular village. And Jesus came along and said, "Oh, no, you got direct contact with God. Don't hurt nobody, and God ain't gonna hurt you." So we've got two Bibles here. One that may be following the Torah a little too close. I mean, personally, I think what we've got is a Talmud vision, and that's about as sick and evil as you can get. I mean, just watching every other commercial on Talmud vision is trying to sell you a pharmaceutical controlled by a Jewish company, no doubt, with about a 2,000% markup.
You know, I think you said it right, Clayton. And if we could just wake up the churches in America, these churches, and if they'd wake themselves up, you know, they don't need a pulpitoon to stand up there and preach to them. They don't need a pulpitoon to pray for them. I tell people, I used to have people ask, "Oh, Stu, will you pray with me? Will you pray with me?" And I even made some mistakes when God showed me the power of prayer. Some real serious mistakes, praying for various ones and asking for favor. God answered their prayers. He told me not to do that. He taught me lessons about that. He says, first of all, find out why their prayers aren't being answered. Usually because they got blockage, because they themselves aren't trying to be righteous in Him, and they're in need. All of a sudden something happens. They want to live outside of His laws, and then all of a sudden something happens in their life, and they need prayer. And so they go to others for prayer. They do the same thing, go into the churches, keep the bench warm, and they want to live their lifestyle during the week, and then come back.
That's exactly it.
Righteous. And then they ask the pulpitoon to pray for him, and the pulpitoon prays for him, and of course he's old. Leave your check on the way out the door, and you might be one of the 200,000 raptured, which is the biggest phony baloney crap that ever hit the face of the planet, that Thessalonians too. And that is false teaching. And I asked a preacher, several of them, in Las Vegas when I was living there. I said, if that's true, I said, where does that leave you with 1 million preachers in America? And there's only 200,000 going to be raptured in those so-called end times. And end times isn't here. I don't believe it. I thought at one time we might be close to it in 2000. What God has told me, basically, is wait for the stars to. When a star hits this planet, wormwood, that's in the book of Revelations, then you know we're in the Great Tribulation. Until then, push for prayer to stop this, that the destruction of mankind doesn't have to come, that people can pick it up and deal with the evil and get rid of the evil themselves. And that's what we can do if people rise up. One is to pray against it, and it gives you more power and authority. And the second thing is to rise up against it and end it. Because it's been done. David and Goliath had a nice battle, and he told him to go out there and pick up 3 stones. He only needed one, the first one, and that did Goliath. And then he used David to slay tens of thousands of this evil filth off the planet. Now, are we supposed to go out here and kill them? I don't know, but I like the idea of arresting them. That's a simple solution. They can be gotten to in citizens' arrests. And our Constitution, as far as government officials, our Constitution, or bill, or the Declaration, is specific that when they get out of control, basically, we have the legal right to go in and remove them and replace them. So why aren't we doing this? We have 9 out of 10 United States congressmen and United States senators who are on this Zionist AIPAC. They are controlled by AIPAC. The whole key is the American-Israeli Pact. And if anybody were to examine their own congressmen and senators' financial statements, it's real simple. When Time Magazine, Jonathan Beatty, that wrote The Outlaw Bank, when we busted the BCCI stories from Silverado, and he did the stories on Silverado and then went into all the BCCI stories, and I'm hiding from the FBI that wants to lock me up as a political prisoner and doing radio shows. He paid me. They paid me a check, $1,400 for 1 month to examine, because that's what it cost me for the phone bill, and they paid it. And I even have those checks up there on my website to prove that that was done. I examined the financial statements of like 40 congressmen and senators, key members that Melvin had been contributing to see what they had. And that's public information. And in those were trusts in their kids' names, their wives' names, sons and daughters, etc. And those trusts, if you dug open those trusts and see the corporations are shown that the trust owns, and you go back to the Secretary of State's office in Colorado, where the center of this whole hub is, and punch in. And it used to be you'd have to make 2 phone calls a day. You were only allowed 2 corporations a day or trusts or whatever. They would give you this information. Now you can go up online and do it. And I've researched some of them, and oh my God, it's so simple to do. But if you look at those corporations, you see what they own. They own 2.5% of an apartment complex over here that was part of the HUD scandal back in 1989 and 90 that I exposed. They had congressional investigations. They go back that far with their ownership in apartments, or they own in a 2.5% in real corporeality, which is shopping centers across America. And the whole key was Daddy Bush would send out, Millman would send out Mr. Brownstein, who's the most influential, they call him the 101st Senator, their attorney, Brownstein Law Firm. They are in Denver, Washington, and Mexico City because he involved in the money laundering of the Mexican cartels and was nailed for it with Citicorp. And, of course, they get off because there's no Justice Department. But those trusts, the Brownstein would hand them with those corporations were just handed to them as their blackmail. They would say, take Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, at one time, was actually doing the right thing. And he was a head key committee member of the United States Senate. And
okay.
How did they flip
I appreciate this information, but Stu, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to bring you, get you to come back up next week. but I need to spend a little
Sounds
bit
good.
of time here with Jeff here. Thanks very much.
I understand.
And
I thank
again,
you for having me
a
on.
pat on the back. A pat on the back to you for.
Hey, Stu?
Yes, sir. Go
Well,
ahead.
when's that 9/11 website going to be available? I'm real interested in that. And I got friends that are really into that.
Well, I was told to keep my mouth shut, and I have, but I heard it was released on Mike Harris a couple days ago by Jim Dean, one of the editors of Veterans Today, that it would be done within 2 weeks. So that's the time frame that I was told it would be done within 3. I've known about it for over a week.
I'll get
So
Mike
hopefully
Harris.
this will be
I'll
done.
get Mike Harris up on my show. Is he still doing one on
Friends
RBN?
Radio, yes. Yes, it's MikeHarris.us. Everybody can go in and listen to the past archives in the past couple of days. I believe it was on Monday he had Dean on. Monday or Tuesday he had Gordon on, and then he had Dean on. So everybody get in and maybe listen to those archives as well, and get prepared. And I thank you for putting me on here. And Jeff, it was nice having a chat with you here. I don't know you, but keep up the good work, both of you.
You can pick up his book on my site.
For sure, brother.
You can pick up his copy of his book.
I'm on. You can find my phone number right there in public, right on StuWeb.com. So have a good one, gentlemen.
I'll drop you an email for sure, Stu. I want to make sure you check out my book for sure, brother.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Now, again, let's. I am still working my way through your book, but what do I have to look forward to? What much of the information you got, much of the history here, I can confirm is very accurate, very right on here, and you. Since I didn't hear anything from you when Stu was talking, I have to assume that you're pretty much agreeing with him and this whole Jewish connection to this new world order, one world government, Luciferian, Masonic, Satanic, whatever you want to call it here. It's good versus evil, and it's been around for thousands of years. It's what the Bible tells us about. There's a constant battle between principalities, between good and evil.
Yeah, that's it exactly. I mean, it's been going on for thousands of years, and I pretty much would agree with what Stu said. I'm at odds with him for sure, probably about the whole the alien stuff and the bases on the moon and the Mars. I haven't really seen anything, any concrete evidence of that, and I did look into quite a bit of that for sure with research in the first book, because I wanted to get as accurate as I could prove as possible for sure. But who knows what's going on these days, honestly.
Well, I've said that the whole UFO thing is pretty much mired in secrecy because they don't want you to know that that we could have lunch on the moon at that base on the moon and be back here in time for dinner and not use a drop of gasoline.
Yep, I explain this a little bit in my book about the whole, because I mean, what we would call ETs or aliens today, they would call demons and angels back in the biblical days. I would say. Would you agree with that, or?
Yes, and I also am not. I think that what these Christians have done, these New World Order Christians, Judeo-Christians, which I suggest is about the same as saying I'm a Satanic Christian. Thank you. You know that we may have most of the Old Testament screwed up. Nighthawk just pointed out that Lucifer is the King James version rendering of the Hebrew word, and it may be that the Jewish God Yahweh was really the satanic entity they called Baal, and Lucifer may have been a good angel and just got demonized for trying to help the enslaved humans, enslaved by the Jewish God, New World Order God Yahweh. Now, I write science fiction, so, you know, keep that in mind. As a matter of fact, I wrote this particular science fiction trend of thought that Lucifer was the co-captain of the Earth ship Heaven, commanded by Yahweh, who went insane, and when Lucifer opposed him, he kicked him out of heaven. So, but like I said, I write science fiction. That's what I do in my spare time. It's taken me 45 years to finish that one. Now, but about your book, I mean, you've done a tremendous amount of research, and I haven't found any part of your book that I disagree with, although I haven't read it all yet.
Well, there's a lot to digest for sure. That's 7 years worth of work, 145 pages. And let me throw my website out there for sure, so people can, if they want to check it out, because I'm giving the ebook away for free. Because if we don't have a massive awakening in our country, it's going to go down in flames. And you can also buy the paperback there. I'm selling as cheap as I can. It's $20 for shipping and for the book and shipping and handling. But it's SamaritanSentinel.com, all one word. Samaritan, like a good Samaritan, then Sentinel, like a watchguard. It's SamaritanSentinel.com, and anybody can go there and download that book for free. Even if you're just curious, just go and download it and read the outline, and you'll see what's all in the book, and it's all broken apart pretty well, broken down. So, I mean, people, I've got nothing but the highest praises for it, and it's been real humbling for sure. It's only been out for about 4 months now, but I've collected quite a testimonials page already on that website that people can go check out before they even download the book. They can go see what people are saying about the book. I've got it's on Amazon. I got it on Amazon.com also, and I've got 8 5-star reviews on there. So I've got 5 out of 5-star reviews. Everybody that's read it has just been floored. They've been so happy I put that together and put it out there, because there's nothing like it that I've ever came across in my life. And I said, I wish I would have had my book 7 years ago, so I could have just read it and know what's going on, instead of having to spend 7 years researching it. And I mean, it's the book I wish I had, but it wasn't there, so I had to write it myself, basically.
Well, you know, it's very complimentary to my book, Mystery Babylon: The New World Order Unveiled, and I have them both. I have yours.
You're right on the money there, man.
I have yours up right next to mine. I mean, I charge for mine. I got to do this to make a living.
Yeah.
And but I've got yours right next to mine, so people can either go link it from your site. It's linked on Facebook. It's linked on freeamerican.com, and you know, Free American 69 on Facebook. So I urge people to get this. And then, you know, here's the one reason people don't want to read this or hear this information. Because if you start realizing that, man, everything he said is right, you know, look what they've done with the IRS, look, they've done this, hey, they just gave away $49 million to a bunch of illegals, 23,000 illegals, look at that, well, maybe Clay and Jeff weren't so crazy after all.
Yeah. All those checks went to that one address. One like
yes, one address. I mean, 23,000 people live in that house there.
Yeah. I'm absolutely known where you can where the illegal aliens will get a house and put, one, family of 6 in each bedroom and blow up the septic tank in the backyard.
More
that
than
many thousands at one address. I can't buy that.
More than that. Now they're going to give them a car or a bicycle or a way to get back and forth to work. That's the latest thing. That's the latest thing Obama's proposing here.
Put it on the tab.
Yeah, immigration bill includes amendment to give away free cars, bicycle, scooters to young people as jobs stimulus.
Oh. Crazy, isn't it? It's
Well,
just absolute madness.
It is. And, folks, you may not think you're able to change the world, but if you can change your backyard, if you can change your house into an income-producing enterprise, you can beat them. You can beat them. I mean, the foundation of every civilization is the self-sufficient family farm. Let's bring the farm to the city because the jobs are in the city. So that's how they sucked you in here. Now let's put what they put us into. Let's redo these little boxes they got us stuck into and make them into income-producing boxes. The self-sufficient family farm. Grow something, produce something, make a wind generator in your garage, for God's sakes. Let's do something.
Yeah.
I mean, this is how the Taiwanese did it. They put together computers in their garages. Oh, but maybe they're smarter than us, you think?
Yeah, it's a crazy world, man. It's gonna get crazier for sure. Have you seen the metals markets lately? They're crashing them.
Yeah, well, they're going to make silver worthless again for a little while. And
I think they're trying to.
They're going to break the dollar.
It down on paper. I think they're taking it down on paper, and it doesn't matter because they're taking it to the price down, and it's going down there. They're physically accumulating the physical stuff because when they blow up the banking system, all this paper stores that they've used to short all this stuff, it's not going to matter because it's all going to get thrown out the window and reset anyway. But when that happens, they're grabbing up and mainly gold. They're grabbing. That's why all the central banks around the world have been making a huge gold grab over the last few years. I mean, they're buying it at any price just to get their hands on it. That's why I think they're taking they're shorting all the silver and gold right now to bring the price down so they can accumulate, and then they're gonna blow it up and the price is gonna quote unquote go through the roof because that's the only thing that's gonna be worth money, basically.
I think you're right. By lowering the price on it right now, people are going to get scared and want to sell it. They'll be able to pick it up cheaper.
Selling. Yeah. And that makes people like us look bad because we've been telling people to buy silver and gold because there's a financial crisis coming where the dollar's going to crash and you're not going to have any means to barter or to buy stuff. So buy silver and gold. So they're almost doing double damage by making us look bad, and they're gobbling up all the physical silver and gold as they're taking the price down.
All right, Jeff Hayes, he's on my site, and I'm out of here, man. I'm going to go enjoy my birthday. I'm going to go crank up the Harley and go for a ride. God bless you all. See you tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Clayton.
Thank you, Jeff. Bye-bye now.